have my good friend John Casmon with us. John Casmon is a real estate entrepreneur who has partnered with busy professionals to invest in over 100 million worth of apartments. John also consults active multifamily investors to help them start and grow their business. Prior to becoming a full-time investor, John was in corporate America overseeing marketing campaign for General Motors, Nike, and Coors Light. He also hosts a podcast, Multifamily Insights Podcast, and he's a co-creator of the Midwest Real Estate Networking Summit. Welcome, John. I'm super excited to have you today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on the show today. I'm excited to talk to you and all of your listeners.
Great. So I'm going to start with this question. Can you tell me at present, how do you see yourself? Where are you in your personal life and your professional life?
Yeah, I'm on a trajectory of growth. I've had a lot of growth over the last few years, and obviously in the business is growing. We've talked about, having $100 million worth of real estate that we've partnered with people on. But I think really from a mental standpoint, I've really been able to grow and truly embrace the abundance mindset. I think it's very easy to see obstacles and get challenges and have to fight through that. And early on, that's what I had to do. First it was the transition from corporate America to real estate. Then in real estate, it's, trying to find deals in a hot market and trying to navigate and operate the deals you do have. And then really understanding the transformation that I needed to go through in order to be a better leader for my investors, a better leader for, my coaching clients, and just to overall, see happiness and be on a path where I recognize that, we have a lot more control over the outcome than we expect or we might anticipate. But on the same note, we control how we feel every day. I get to choose to be happy every single day, no matter what's going on around me. That's a choice I get to make. I get to choose, the foods I put into my body, whether or not I go to the gym, whether or not I write, whether or not I read, who I talk to, the kind of energy I surround myself with. So that has really helped me grow and kind of stay in a better mindset. Whereas, in the past, if you're facing challenges and things get stressful, it can feel overwhelming at times. So I've also been able to learn to delegate and, get help where I need help, as opposed to trying to be a one-man band on everything.
You said abundance mindset. So how did you develop that? Was there some transformation happen during your corporate job, or it was after that?
I think for me, what happened is I've heard about abundance for a long time, and I'm not one of the guru type people. So I can hear something, I can read something, I understand there's some sense of fact in it. It works for some people, maybe doesn't work for you. But what really happened for me was recognizing that when you surround yourself with people who are doing incredible things, and you talk to them, and they make it sound so easy and simple. And you realize that, or maybe it takes a minute, but it's not that it's easy or simple. It's that there's an answer if you try. If you're putting in the work, people are willing to help you. If you ever see someone who's trying to do something that's incredible, it's amazing to see how many people come out to support, try to help. And that's the thing that I talk when you talk about abundance. It's not that you're by yourself trying to accomplish something. It's recognizing that if you can add value to other people, typically they're going to be happy to help you with whatever it is you're trying to do as well. So focusing on gratitude and abundance and pouring into other people, it's a little bit easier to get your goals accomplished if you're helping other people accomplish their goals. So the way that's manifested itself was, I've got coaches and advisors that I work with. I've seen them grow their business. I work with clients who I'm seeing grow their business. And in my business, it really comes down to recognizing, hey, when I have conversations with people and they thank me and say, hey, man, I really appreciate what you said. It helped me buy this, 20-unit building. And I'm like, wow, just the conversation helped you to move forward in your personal financial goals. That's not even coaching in one-on-one. I mean, that's just the conversation, right?
Yes.
So if somebody could take a conversation and move forward, you can do a lot more in your business. And what happens as well is we all have limiting beliefs. And sometimes you may have a setback or disappointment. And that holds you back from maybe, taking the next shot. If you play sports, if you take a shot and you miss the shot, well, if that's in your head the next time you go to shoot, it's like, well, I missed the last one, maybe I should pass it this time, right? And if you keep doing that, you get the fear building up to the point where you're just scared to shoot, right? And you've got to get over that. And we've had deals that, didn't go as well as we would have liked for them to go. And I think it took a little while for me to work through those shortcomings to really learn from that experience so I could be a better investor moving forward.
Mm-hmm. So you said two things. The first thing I wanted to talk about is you say, you surround yourself with the successful people and they, explain things very simply. Did you notice that they just not explain it simply because they see things as very simple too, compared to the average people?
Yes. I mean, it is more simple than people think, but I think there's the word extraordinary. And if you break down extraordinary, it's extraordinary.
Right.
And a lot of success really comes down to doing ordinary things in an extraordinary fashion. And what that really boils down to is consistency, right? It's showing up and having kind of a tight feedback loop where, again, let's go back to playing sports. If you're trying to get better at something, let's say you're playing basketball, well, you need to shoot the ball to get better. If you only shoot one time, how good do you expect to be? And it's not good enough to shoot 3 times or go to the gym once a week and shoot 5 times, right? You have to keep getting feedback. So you got to shoot hundreds of shots, a day or every other day or whatever it is. So you can constantly get feedback and you can constantly tweak. Hey, you know what? On this shot, I was a little short. I got to push the ball a little further. Hey, on this shot, it was a little too hard, a little too far. Let me soften it up. You've got to keep doing that process. And it's really the same with almost everything in life. You get feedback. You've got to take that feedback, recognize that you're getting feedback, adjust it, but then put it right back into motion so you can see if that tweak actually works. If you do one deal and you never do anything else after that because it worked or it didn't work, you're never going to get enough feedback to grow and scale. If you're trying to invest in real estate, if you're trying to raise capital for deals, you have one conversation with a prospect, that's not going to be enough for you to become really good at it. You've got to really have a lot of conversations. You have to listen to people. You have to understand what are the challenges that people are trying to face that they're looking to overcome. And that just takes repetition. And you've got to put in the reps. And the thing with people who see things as easy is they've put in the reps and they tried enough different things to say, you know what, all that other stuff didn't work. There's just these things here. That's what works. And it's always going to be a little different for you. So you've got to find what works for you. But if you surround yourself with people who can help show you the blueprint, show you the roadmap, it makes it just a little bit easier to move with confidence as opposed to guessing whether or not you're doing the right thing.
That's true. And with the practice, doing over and over again, you're breaking all the limitations too. Was my second question, like you were saying earlier, that if you fail one time, you're hesitant to repeat that, or it's in your experience, like if I do this thing might happen again. So you need to break that fear, you need to break that pattern to create or carve your own path.
That's exactly it. It's like riding a bike, right? First time you go to ride a bike, you probably fall off. Well, if you say, hey, this is too hard, you'll never learn to ride. You got to get on. You're going to fall again. You're probably going to fall again. But eventually you'll figure out the balance that you need, the speed that you need to be pedaling, and all of those things. And you'll learn how to ride a bike. So it's the same thing. You're going to get better and better. I think the key when we're talking about money, it's different because nobody wants to lose money. So with money, it comes down to 2 things. One, you can leverage other people's experience, right? And partner with people who have more experience there. That way you kind of, mitigate your risk to an extent because now you've got somebody who has learned how to ride a bike and they should know what they're doing a little bit better than what you're doing by yourself. And you can use that as an opportunity to grow. The second thing is, you should be in a position to only invest what you are comfortable losing.
That's true.
And it's not to say you should walk into any investment expecting to lose money. But if you absolutely need the money you have to live off of, to pay your mortgage, do not invest that. You're not in that position. You should be investing with the hopes of growing it. And you should also use that as a lens to what your risk tolerance should be. If you don't have that kind of money set aside, you should only invest what you're comfortable losing. And you should look at the deals and say, okay, is this deal likely to lose money? Is there high risk in this deal? Is there low risk in this deal? And there's different ways to dig into that a little bit more, but that should play a role on where you're at in your journey. So as you get more confident, as you get more comfortable with it, now you can start to figure out how do you want to build out your entire portfolio.
That's true. And plus, having the fear about losing the money, you should look at money as energy. It is actually an energy, and see how you can embrace that and bring into your life positively, so that, it's bringing you whatever success or whatever you're striving for, versus creating the limitations or hesitations around you.
I've lost more money trying not to lose money than anything else.
Yeah,
right?
because see, the barrier is there. What if I lose? So you're attracting that wrong kind of energy unknowingly. You know what I'm saying? Versus if you see it as an energy and you positively embrace it and say, I'm going to make this happen, be confident about it. Yes, I get the education, get the knowledge, surround yourself with the like-minded people, you'll make it happen.
Yeah, I interviewed this guy recently, and he had a great analogy, and he said, money flows like water, and all we can do is block the water from flowing, right? We can block the energy, the money from flowing to us, or we can remove those obstacles so it can flow. Many of us have skills that we have ideas, we have so many different ways that we could attract money to us, but maybe that fear blocks it. And if you think about what that means for you and where you put barriers up, let's do something that's real simple, right? How many people have heard of Bitcoin, right? If you're listening, have you heard of Bitcoin?
Yes.
Probably everybody today. 10 years ago, did you hear about Bitcoin? Did you know about Bitcoin? Okay. A lot of people did. Now, how many people saw that and said, wow, this is interesting. Let me learn more. Maybe I'll throw a little money at this and see what happens. And how many people said, this is, fake internet money. It's not real. I'm not going to invest in it. And I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I'm just giving an example of how we sometimes block money from flowing to us.
That's true.
You look at the stock market, you look at real estate. These investment opportunities are all around us, and it's so easy today to invest in various things. So it's not a matter of, you don't have money or whatever the situation is. You're probably blocking money from flowing to you because you're not taking a moment to learn a little bit more, figuring out what things are a good fit for you, your current situation, and investing in it. If you're renting today, same thing. Like, you could go out and get a 2 to 4 unit property, live in one unit, rent out the other units. You can invest passively in deals. You don't have to be a landlord to invest in real estate. You get some amazing tax benefits. So this information is there. You've got the internet, you got YouTube, you got Google. There's so much great information there. But are you blocking yourself from taking advantage of it, learning about it? How do you make more? So it's there, right? And it doesn't matter how much money you got. You can make money with no money in real estate and other ventures. So it's a mindset thing. It goes back truly a mindset thing about blocking the energy. If you're someone who is pouring into this, reading about this, you can scale. I mean, I got a friend who created a company. I won't get into the details, but he created a crypto company. And when I met him, he was doing well. He fell into some really hard times. This dude is like a multi-millionaire right now, like and somewhere in the probably 20 to 50, if million plus range, if not more than that at this point. And I watched him build it, and I watched him build this thing, when he had no money. He was, negative balance on everything. So again, it comes back to a mindset thing and energy as well. So
that's true. And plus, we are living in the information age. So everything is on your tip of your fingers, and if you put your mind to something, you can make anything happen. So tell me about your transition from the corporate world to the real estate. What made you do that?
Yeah, there were a couple of things. So to give you a little context of my background, right? I spent 15 years in corporate America doing marketing and advertising for large companies. And I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. I know a lot of people don't like their jobs. I thoroughly enjoyed my job. The challenge for me came when my role became less on the strategy, and I felt like more I was going to, corporate war every day, right? Trying to just protect our scope of work and our budgets and, doing all that posturing and stuff. But really what happened is I went through bankruptcy twice with my companies, right? So my companies have went bankrupt twice. One was General Motors. So I was there when we went through bankruptcy. The second was an advertising agency I worked at. Now, with that noted, I never missed a paycheck. I was very fortunate. GM, we kind of quickly went in and out of bankruptcy in like 30 some days, never missed a paycheck, came out of a new company. I actually got promoted. I thrived during that time frame, right? But even though I thrived through that time frame, the anxiety was crazy through the roof, right? My anxiety, everybody in the company's anxiety. And I was not a Detroit native. A lot of people were Detroit lifers. And for me, I was like, I can't go through this again. So I wanted to move. I moved to Chicago to work at an advertising agency, and company was doing great. It started to grow. We expanded. We went from like maybe 30 people to like 200 people with an office in New York and LA and Miami. And it was great. And it just crashed and burned. And in fairness to the guys who launched that company, for us, they took care of those people who stayed. They said, hey, keep servicing your clients. We'll figure out the financials. We'll pay you out of our pockets. And they paid me out of their pocket for like 2 months. And I think that's just incredible for them to do that. Got the new company up and running, got some financial backing, and move forward. But I had gone through bankruptcy twice, and the anxiety that I thought I was leaving came right back this second time. And I felt like my job was essentially avoiding that for a third time is what I was ended up doing. Between that and I started to have my family. And at that time, I started to invest in real estate. It was one of the things when I moved to Chicago, I really wanted to start investing in real estate. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I read other books, and I knew that I needed to create passive income. I needed something outside of my W-2 job to take care of me and my family. So my wife and I were adamant about it. When we moved to Chicago, we bought a 2-unit property. 2 years later, we bought a 3-unit property. And then we bought an 8-unit property a couple years after that. So I'm investing on the side, working my day job. And I think the last trigger for me when I was still battling, like, hey, I can keep doing corporate, I can keep growing this on the side, is my son turned 4 years old, my oldest son, he turned 4. And we had a TV shoot that we had to do in Atlanta. And I did not want to go. I want to be with my son. One of the ways I define success is being able to be where I want to be when I want to be there. And specifically, I wanted to be a present father. That's one of the high marks of how I rate myself as, being a father. It's the most honorable thing you could ever say about me is he was a great dad. Okay. And I couldn't get out of this shoot. I tried to get anybody to go to this shoot besides me. And just because of my seniority and just a whole bunch of other reasons, client comfortability, they're like, John, you got to go. It's got to be you. And I missed my son's 4th birthday. I was on set, missed his birthday. Now, we did a party for him. I was there for the party. All that was fine. He doesn't know, doesn't remember, doesn't care. But for me, it was like, dude, you're over here busting your tail with this job. My wife's working. We got our investments going. You're trying to do all this to create the lifestyle you want. And I didn't control my time. And one of the biggest things possible, right? I didn't control my time. And I think it just hit me. I was very depressed on set. The moment we wrapped the shoot, I left. I don't even know if I said goodbye, but I left. And at that moment, I knew it was like, hey, I've got to go full time in real estate. And that's where we started to do some larger deals, and that helped me transition. But even when I transitioned, it wasn't that I had all the cash flow coming in where I could kick my feet up. There was a period of like, okay, I see the plan. I know how I'm going to get there eventually, but I'm not there today. Will we be okay? And what helped me was having a strong partner where we were completely aligned in our vision and what we wanted to create, and having faith, faith in, a higher being, faith in the process, faith in the blueprint, faith in my advisors. And that really made it possible to go out there, leave my W-2 job, go full-time into real estate, and grow this portfolio.
How did you find your partner?
My wife or business partners?
No, business partner.
Oh, okay. I'm like, well, that's a whole different story. Uh, yeah, I think finding business partners is always tricky, right? Because
Mhm.
it's very similar to finding a spouse, where you kind of want to get to know people, understand what their goals are, what they're, what they're hoping to get out of working together, what's their strengths, what's their skill set. So, I've worked with multiple different partners, and the first partners that we found them at a conference. Met at a conference. My wife actually met one of the principals,
Mhm.
said, hey, met with this guy, seems cool. We should grab dinner with them. So we grabbed dinner, got to know them, and learned what they were doing. Thought there was some great synergies there. And I think it was like 6 or 7 months later, when I launched my podcast, had them on as an early guest. And in our conversation, realized they had a deal they were working on. And at that moment, I was getting frustrated because I couldn't find a deal that I was looking to do. And I expressed an interest in collaborating and working with them. So, I think about a week or two later, he called me back and said, hey, man, are you still interested in potentially working with us? I said, yeah. And he said, great. We could use some help doing these 3 or 4 things. And we were off to the races. So that was it. And every partner we've had has really been more of an organic conversation, great vibe, get to know them. One of the things for me is like just really taking the time to get to know people. Usually I like to spend at least 6 months getting to know someone, or at least from that initial interaction, so we can get it, just see how each other operates, right? It's one
That's
thing to have a conversation, do an interview, say all the cool things you want to hear or whatever to make you feel good, but you kind of want to see how someone works, when
true.
that's not on the table, just like, hey, what are you doing? Who are you at your essence? Are you doing deals? Are you, underwriting, whatever it is, and then just touching base, try to touch base every couple of months. What's going on with you? Anything new in the business? What are you struggling with? Have you tried this? And, again, just trying to help each other out. And if we feel like there's a good connection and feel like we can align our interests, that's where I think we could talk about what a partnership could look like.
That's good. So did you join any mentorship program too when you transitioned from your corporate job to this real estate world?
Yeah, great question. I did when as a matter of fact, before I transitioned, I had joined. And I think that was vital to me making that transition, because I joined right after I bought my 8 unit property. And what happened for me is I had this vision of building up this smaller multifamily portfolio. And that's all I really wanted to do, is just get a little small portfolio that could take care of me and my family. And then I was going to leave the W-2 world and be good. And what happened was, we bought the 8 unit building. We wrote a 6-figure down payment check to get this property. And I just recall being dejected. I was supposed to be happy. I just bought an 8 unit building, commercial property. I'm feeling good. And I was dejected. And the reason I was dejected is like, I keep seeing deals that I want to pursue. I want to do this on a date. Like, I'm excited, right? I'm building real wealth here. And I felt like I now need to wait another year to save up money to be able to have funds to go invest again. And I remember after maybe a week, I met up with a friend of mine who took her portfolio from 9 units to 90 units in about a year. And I just asked her, how'd you do it? And she flat out told me I had to work with other people. You got to be willing to partner. Eventually you are going to run out of your own money. Like, I don't care how much money you have. Eventually you will run out of your own money. And when I stepped back and I thought about what I really wanted to do, and recognizing that I had people in my life who were very interested in investing in real estate, but they had no desire of being a landlord. They had no desire of being a contractor or being a flipper. They didn't want to do the real estate stuff. They just wanted the benefits. And here I was wanting to do those things, but needing a little bit of financial help, where, I was looking to maybe go 50-50 on these deals. I finally realized, you know what, we need to open ourselves up to the idea of partnering with other people. And for me to feel comfortable with that notion, I wanted to bring in people who had more experience to be in my corner, so they could look over my shoulder and identify any challenges or anything that I may be missing, because I had never worked with another investor before. So I did. I hired a mentor, and through that mentor, I got other connections. Those partners that I met at that conference, it was his event, his conference. They were also clients of his. So there was kind of a built-in rapport from that standpoint. And that really opened up the door. And then once you're in a group like that, if you're around other high achievers, as we talked about earlier, your mind now starts to expand of what could be possible, right? All I wanted was a 20 unit. I bought an 8-unit building. I then wanted to get a 20 unit, but I just wanted to be able to bring half the money and not all of it. That was my goal when I, ended up hiring this mentor. But when I got a partner who just bought 192 units, and I'm watching my mentor go out there and buy $10 million deals, $15 million deals, $20 million deals, that 20 unit still sound like a good idea, but man, if we could go out there and expand and get something bigger, the possibilities just grew. And that goes back to that whole abundance mindset, because if you would have asked me that day that I decided to hire a mentor, would I be buying 100+ unit properties? I would have laughed at you. It's like, no, I'm going to buy an 8, a 12, probably get a 20, something in that range is where I wanted to play. That's where I felt comfortable. But when I realized that, hey, the reason you're not comfortable in these spaces is just because you're not familiar with it. Let's remove those obstacles. Let's stop blocking the water from flowing. Let's learn about it. Let's understand it more, and then figure out how to do it. You've got people around you who are doing these things. You can learn from them. You can partner with them. There are lots of ways to scale your business. And that's what we ultimately ended up doing.
How long you been doing this now?
Oh man, I've been investing for about a decade. So I started with my small multifamilies over a decade, and we've been working with other investors for about 5 years.
How did you scale that fast to be that big in 4 years? What worked for you, or what were the obstacles that you can share with us?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest one, we kind of just talked about it, right, is you've got to surround yourself with the right people and the right resources. I was not looking to go out there and buy 192 units, but that was the next multifamily property we bought after the 8-unit, right? So what changed? How do you go from 8 units to 192 units? First of all, you don't do it by yourself. So that was the biggest change for me, which I knew that's what I was trying to change. Is like, hey, how do I go work with other people? So that was a mindset shift. I worked with other partners who had a little bit more experience than me, who had more capital than me. So that made me more comfortable being a part of a team as opposed to leading the entire operation myself. And we had to work with investors. So that mindset of being open to working with investors, being a part of a team, that allowed us to scale, and go and do some of these larger deals. I think surrounding yourself with the right people is absolutely critical. One, because you're going to be the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with anyway. So if 3 or 4 of those people are doing larger deals, or they're, creating kind of the lifestyle and, creating, the portfolios that you would love to have for yourself, that's going to put you in a much better position to be successful, because they're going to guide you. They're going to tell you, hey, I tried this didn't work. You should look at this. Did you think about that? Why don't you come help me with this? The opportunities are there, right? When people can invite you to join them, that's much easier than you trying to go out there, find a deal yourself, underwrite it, put it under contract, raise all the money for it, manage it all by yourself. That's a lot of work. That's a ton of work. But if you have people where you can go and join them and be a part of a team, it makes it a lot easier. And you can play whatever role you want. You can be, the lead operator, and you can bring other people to partner with you, or you can decide that, hey, you know what, maybe I just want to be a limited partner. Maybe I just want to put my money to work and get the benefits of the hard work everyone else is doing. So there's not a right or wrong answer to it. It just comes down to, what's your skill set? What time do you have available? And what are you hoping to get out of this?
That's so true. You said it very well. So you said you joined the existing team. So every team has some norms, some culture. So how did you fit into that team, coming from a corporate background, or having maybe your own corporate culture that you brought with you? So how was that interaction, or the norming exercise for you with this new team?
Well, I think it's important to understand roles and responsibilities. So, on that team, they had a similar background. As a matter of fact, part of the reason we hit it off with them is one of the key principles was in marketing as well. So he came from he was actually still in marketing when we met. So he was like me. He was in marketing, building his portfolio on the side, starting a syndication business. So we had a lot of commonalities there. And sometimes that's not a good thing, right? Because if you have the same skill set, you're redundant. But in this case, my role wasn't to be kind of the main partner with him. He had another partner who was going to run operations. It was to really more assist with some of the marketing things, some of the other aspects of the deal. So it became easy for us to work together because we kind of inherently knew what that meant and how to work together and what the expectations were coming from corporate America, and especially in the marketing world where we know what the expectations of clients are. So that made it much easier for us to kind of connect and vibe and understand what the roles and responsibilities would be going forward.
So remind me at present, how do you see yourself? I mean, where are you in your career?
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point we are on the ascension. We are trying to grow. We are looking for opportunities. We are excited of helping more families find passive income so they can pursue their passions. And we're expanding. We're looking to grow. We're going to hire. We've got a couple employees now, but we're going to hire our first full-time employee. So I'm really excited about bringing that person on board here, and just excited about the deals that we have. But I feel pretty good. I won't say content, because I think there's a lot more we can do. And one thing that's really helped me, I'm not sure if this helps you or any of your listeners, but I've really made it a point to focus on the people that we can help, as opposed to me just hitting whatever, personal goals that I have. I can hit my numbers and stop. And I think that was my initial plan. And at some point, I realized that was a very selfish goal of me. Not saying it's selfish for everyone else, but for me, it would have been selfish because, particularly being an African American, I think that not everyone is exposed to some of the investing options or financial literacy that's available. And when you talk about professionals, business professionals who do everything the right way, what you're told to do, go to college, get a degree, get a great job, work that job, climb the corporate ladder. And this extends to everybody, but in particular for folks who maybe are the first in their family to go to college and achieve these things. When you wake up and realize you don't have a whole lot to show for it, it can be extremely frustrating. You get 10 years into your career and you look at your net worth, and if it's not reflected on, where you expect to be, it can be frustrating. And for me, this is an opportunity to help other families, take advantage of real estate and other investments, but particularly to help them get more free time. I talked about pursuing your passions. It's to put the income you're making, right? The dollars you're making your W-2 job, take that money, put it to work through your investments, and then use the income from the investments, the profits from those investments, to then live the life that you want, right? It's kind of the same Robert Kiyosaki thought process, right? But so many people don't think about it this way. They don't understand it, right? And when I first started to raise capital for my deals and working with investors in my network, I was kind of shocked because I would talk to people who I knew had good paying jobs. I knew they were making six figures, right? And I would talk to them about investing and what our investing minimums were, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I don't have that right now." And I was a little surprised and taken aback. But then you dig into it and you look at, there's a huge wealth gap in this country, right? Between African Americans as well as Latinos, where it's huge. I think I saw something that says by the year 2050, African Americans will have negative net worth, which is just asinine, right? So for me, part of this is like, you can't just, achieve your little piece, get your piece of cheese, and then go hide in the corner. Share the information with other people, share the opportunities with other people. And we're building a business where we can thrive and do well based on those things. But on the same note, I feel like the purpose is bigger than me just making money on these apartments, right? If I can help educate people on some of these things and connect them with other resources, even if it doesn't benefit me, I'm happy to do that. And I feel like, to me, going back to purpose, going back to energy, vibes, all those things, that's really kind of where I'm focused and where we're headed moving forward.
Great. I like that, because when your purpose is bigger than your profit, it's all profit. That's the only thing I can say.
Yes, I love it.
We are running out of time, but you're throwing so many golden nuggets at me. I'm going to ask you one more golden nugget from my audience that worked for you throughout your journey that you'd love to share with us.
Oh, you know what? I'm a former wrestler, so I wrestled in high school. And we used to have a saying on the wall in the West Gym. It was one you may have heard. It said, "Tough times don't last, tough people do."
Mhm.
And it's whatever you're going through, whatever struggles, challenges. I've always thought back to that, and not just the words, but as a wrestler, I've been on my back on the mat and had to fight off getting pinned, where you hear the crowd screaming and it's just raucous and it's just you, right? I mean, you're in a little singlet, so you're virtually almost naked out there, and you got your back on the wall, back on the mat, and you're trying to fight it off. And if you can hold out, you can overcome. And again, the mental toughness is a really important thing. But on the same note, there's a difference between being tough and doing some self-care and taking care of yourself. So make sure you do that as well. And I think if you combine those two things, you could do anything.
That's true. And you're so big on mindset as well. And I'm not sure if you mentioned that to us, that there was some enlightening moment for you in your life that made you change your mindset, and all of a sudden you were like abundance mindset, or you were always like that?
I don't know if I don't think I definitely wasn't always like that. I always thought different from the people around me, though. I think I was always curious about why does this happen? Why do they have this and we don't have that? How does this work? I always had a sense of curiosity. From the abundance, I think it's just honestly, the biggest thing I could say is when you talk to successful people. I've hosted my podcast for 4 years now. We've interviewed 360 some people. When you talk to people who are successful and you read books and you meet people, and you will start to figure out the commonalities, right? I mean, if you talk to 300 some people and they all tell you, hey, here are the things that I do with my days, with my life, here's why I'm successful. If you don't pick up on that, that's on you. So for me, it's not, I mean, it's not even, like I said, I'm not an abundance guy. I'm not like trying to speak like a guru or anything. What I'm saying is you have to control your thoughts. And you have to recognize that. And I don't wake up every day feeling great, but I do recognize that if I'm not feeling great, well, John, you can do something about that to make you feel better. And those are kind of the lessons I try to, just share with other people, particularly my kids, just let them know like, hey, you're not happy about something, cool, but what can you do about it? You can't change the entire situation, but you can control your actions and how you feel. So think about that and use that to help you make your decision from there.
That's true. That's the acceptance, right? Being a problem solver versus being a victim, right? So let me see, right. Okay, this is a situation happened. What should I do to make it better?
That's right.
Well, that brings us to our rapid fire round. I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and it's going to be spontaneous answers, 1 word or 1 sentence only. So are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. So who was the most influential person in your life?
My grandmother, Grandma Claudia Casmon.
What is the best book that you have read or recommend?
I'll give you 2 real quick. Atomic Habits by James Clear, and The 4 Agreements. The 4 Agreements by Manuel Ruiz, I think is. Yeah,
Manuel something. Yes, I have that book. Yeah, I read both of them. I love both of them. Yep. What is your biggest passion?
Oh, my family, my kids.
In 1 word, what does life mean to you?
Opportunity.
That's a good one. What is your favorite food?
Barbecue beef ribs, but I haven't had it in 20 years.
So how can people reach out to you?
2 things. 1, if you enjoyed our conversation and you want to talk to me more, just shoot me an email. My email is john@casmoncapital.com. I'd love to hear from you. Just let me know that you listen to me here on this podcast, and be happy to chat with you there.
Thank you, John.
Thank you for having me today.